Hi, I'm Mayor Barnett, Mayor of the City of Rochester Hills, and as always, thanks for watching. During these really challenging times that we find ourselves in here in the country and certainly here in Rochester Hills, many of you have asked, what can we do to help our community? Well, today I have a very important message on something specific that you can do today that will help your city. You may have received something looking like this. It's the census form that was mailed to your home in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe you've opened it, maybe you haven't. But if you haven't, I'm going to encourage you to open it now and walk with me as we're going to fill out my census form online. But before we do that, let me share with you why this is important and why this matters to Rochester Hills. So much of what happens in our country is funded on formulas, and those formulas many times are driven by population counts, which is why every 10 years, by law, you're required to fill out your census form. It helps us understand who is living in our community and several other data points that give us more direction on how we can better fund services to help that population. Now, the census form only takes a few minutes to fill out, but its impact lasts a decade. So if you've ever used the OPC, this matters. If you have students in the Rochester or Avondale school districts, this matters. If you've ever driven on a Rochester Hills road, this matters. Friends, everyone needs to fill this form out because it matters. In the last census in 2010, I was so proud of our community. We were the number 2 highest reporting community in Michigan and in the top 5 nationally. We did a great job, and we need to do that same excellent job in filling this out so that we can reap the benefits that the census allows us to reap for the next 10 years, from 2020 to 2030. Over $650 billion, our congressional delegation, all dependent on your ability, willingness, and execution of this document. So let's get started. The census form is pretty simple. By going to the census website, you'll see this information called Shape Your Future. And I'm going to put in my information in right now and do this together with you. So as you open up the form, you'll see your address. I'm completing this form. Yes, that's where I live, and I'm clicking next. As of April 1st, 2020, today is Census Day. Is this where I'm living? Yes. Now, this information is not tracked to you individually. It's used collaboratively and collectively for a state, a region, and a zip code. So putting in this information is not something that could be used by other people or marketers or anything like that. It is completely private, held by the government. Including yourself, how many people are living or staying at my address? Well, in my instance, that number is 4. What is the name of each person living at my home? It'll take just a minute to include this information. This would be all folks living in your home. Now that I've filled in the information for my family, there's a screen that helps you understand who could be included in your count. It's not just your immediate family, but any relatives that live with you, like adult children, nieces, nephews, cousins, or in-laws, roommates, or even other non-relatives that live in your home and under your roof. Those folks need to be listed on this sheet. The next question asked about that home that we were just talking about. In my case, I own my home with a mortgage, and I'm clicking yes, owned with a mortgage. We're now done with all of the household questions and moving now on to the people questions. In the people section, there are very easy questions like sex, male or female, age, including your birth date, and then it gets into Hispanic origin and race. In my case, I'm white with backgrounds in German and English. And you can see Black or African American, American Indian or Alaskan Native, and then a list of other choices relative to a person's race. This information, again, is really important in understanding how our community is changing. And we know Rochester Hills is certainly changing and becoming diverse, more diverse. This is where we get that information. So you'll go ahead and fill out these people questions for every single person under your household. Took just a couple of minutes. And now we move to the final question. Question said, we would just like to make sure everyone is only counted once. Some people live or stay in more than one place. So they give you some examples of that. And then the question is, do any of the following people usually live or stay somewhere else other than my house and address? And I would say, nope, those folks live there every single day. So now that I've completed all of the questions, it asks me one last time, am I ready to submit my information? And I click yes. And that is now completed. This whole process took me no more than 4 or 5 minutes, and now every member of my family in this community is going to be counted. This is so critically important. As of today, Census Day, April 1st, 2020, only 49.1% of our population has been counted. That means more than half of you watching still need to do this very easy and quick process. Friends, it's a crazy time right now. Everyone wants to help. This is something you could do to help your community for the next decade. I urge you today, please complete your census.